Every challenge coin holds a story. The unit, the deployment, the handshake it was pressed into your palm with. But stories fade unless someone saves them. Allcoin lets you digitize your coins and the stories behind them, a lasting record of what your service meant and who you served it with. Preserve your story free at allcoin.brav.co because your service is worth remembering.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat with a special guest. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying these podcasts? Make sure you go hit up the website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out, see what we're all about. We are doing a lot of really cool stuff, so please go take a look at all the different things. But great initiatives that are happening. We have our historical archivists out there recording stories. That first one ever went out today from one of the historical archivists. So that was pretty cool milestone for us. But anyways, go check it out, see what we're all about. And if there's any way you can help us, please help us. Big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, go back and check them out again. You can always find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. And a huge thank you to Allcoin. They are the ones, you saw the commercial, but everybody that comes on will now get a digital coin thanks to Allcoin. And you can find them at allcoin.brav with 2 A's.co. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, the Marine Corps League. Don't forget, Marine Corps League has veteran service officers now. You can always find them at marinecorpsleague.org. I'm sorry, mcleague.org. The VSO locator, 703-207-9588, extension 299.
Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps veteran service organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member.
All right, here we are. Man, I'm excited. We got Matt back with us. Now, Matt, you came on and told your whole story before, which has a lot of this in it, right? Basra and Back. This is your book, and I thank you for sending it. Much appreciated. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Thanks. How are you?
Oh, shoot, man. I can't complain. I get to talk to you again. So, life is good.
Good.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So, yeah, man, for the listeners that maybe didn't hear the first podcast, let's kind of just give us an overbrief of kind of you and your history and everything that you got going on.
Okay. Well, so one thing your audience will notice straight away is I'm speaking with a British accent, and you're speaking with an American accent. Obviously, I'm not a Marine Corps veteran. I'm a British Army veteran, British Army Reserve veteran, but I did active service. I was deployed on Operation Enduring Freedom, which we called Operation Telic, which is the British operation.
Yeah.
So that was my service. And as we spoke about before, when we went to Iraq, the British were expecting a Northern Ireland style campaign, something which is a low intensity conflict, which is a very misleading way to call a combat zone. Low intensity conflict. It wasn't. And we ended up with quite a busy deployment, and that's why I wrote Basra and Back. It has lots of anecdotes and action about what the British military were up to at the time, from the ground up, so from the troop level as opposed to strategic level.
Right.
So that's what we spoke about last time, was how I joined the army, how inadequate basic training was, because it was very basic. It was really basic, and then we talked about deploying out into the desert. I was there at the same time as you.
That's right. Little distance between us, but we were out there at the same time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we figured
now,
500 kilometers, didn't we, between Basra and Fallujah? That's
yeah.
You weren't Fallujah, you were
Ramadi. Yeah.
Ramadi,
But it's just a little bit past Fallujah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how far, it's a little bit, but I don't know the exact mileage.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's awesome. Now, what I found very interesting about your story when you told it was, one, the basic training was very basic, and you were in the reserve unit, and that reserve unit deployed all as one unit. Whereas typically you guys would be, farmed out to different units to kind of beef up their numbers, but you all went as one unit.
Yeah, at the time, and this was like it was a hangover from the Cold War and the first Gulf War. The Territorial Army, or the Army Reserve, was BCR's battle casualty replacements. If a man got lost, a reservist went out to take their place. Someone who was trained and could be upskilled to whatever you needed them to do. Right. And so when we went out to Iraq, we were the first reserve company since the Suez crisis in the 1950s.
Oh, wow.
Actually a formed company of reservists being sent out on a ground holding role. So we were a completely independent unit. The officers were reserves, the senior NCOs, they were reserves as well. And obviously the grunts were all reserves. So we were completely standalone, the first standalone reserve unit to be deployed since really the Second World War and just after.
Right. Yeah. Wow. And of course, there's growing pains with that. As you guys got out there, some of your story was, it was started out a little, it wasn't too bad, and then it kind of quickly got worse and worse as you were out there, and that learning curve was huge.
Yeah, like I said, we were going out there and we were expecting like a policing action. So we were going out on patrol. Mm-hmm. We didn't even take helmets on patrol. We were wearing on soft berets on patrol to have this hearts and minds, this soft image. Eventually we had to take our helmets with us, of course.
Yeah.
We started with soft skin vehicles. Americans very familiar with the Humvee, so we basically had those, but no armor on it whatsoever. British Land Rovers, and we had to replace them with Snatch Land Rovers, which are up armored. We started off with light weapons, belt-fed weapons, and then we ended up with mini machine guns, which was a bit like the squad automatic weapons. So we had to respond to the developing threat in the country, because we went out expecting one thing, and within a month we really figured out that it was not going to be that at all, and we would be vulnerable if we didn't.
Yeah, well, the good thing is you guys adapted. That's the whole thing, that you got to adapt, you got to overcome, and whatever the mission needs, you got to be sure to put forth that effort.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did, and I think we did a pretty good job. It didn't take too many casualties, and we managed to hold the line, because that's what we were there. We were there to hold the south of Basra City, and the situation was so tasty that when we got taken out of country for the next unit to come in, we were replaced by Marines, and the Marines are the toughest of the tough as far as British forces go. I could never join them. They're professional hombres. I'm just a part-time hombre. So the Marines came over to take our place. Yeah, that's how much.
Now, do the Marines work the same way? Like, are their reserves? Do they go out as a whole unit as well, or are they replacements? Yeah,
well, the Marines do. There's the Royal Marines, which is made up of sub-units called commandos. The group is called a commando, so you've got 4-3 commando, for example, 43 commando. But there's a Royal Marine Reserve component, and there's not many Royal Marine Reserve, because the training to earn the right to be a Royal Marine for a reservist, it takes about 18 months in total.
Oh, wow.
Not missing a couple of things back to back, it takes a very, very long time, and they're doing the Marine course just over 18 months as opposed to the 6 months that it normally takes.
Holy cow.
The difference between a Royal Marine Reserve and a full-time Royal Marine is minimal. And they function still in that BCR or battle casualty replacement role, or FTRS, which is full-time reserve service. So if they need some extra lads for a deployment and they can't find them, reassign them from Army commandos or Navy commandos or whatever, they can get some reserves in who are already very, very good and very highly trained, as opposed to the British infantry reserves, who are some, like we spoke last time, SWAT, some weekends and Tuesdays.
That's right. I forgot about that. Some weekends and Tuesdays. Now, and I thought that was very interesting, though. So it wasn't it was twice a month on the weekends. Is that right? And then
Yeah, twice a month. But most people did once a month. So you had 2 weekends per month worth for the TA training, and then it was every Tuesday night, which was only like a 2 or 3 hour session, and then a weekend would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and then you'd finish and go back home. So the training was for the Territorial Army, because that's not a lot of time. It's only 48 hours here, 48 hours there. So there's the people who have been in for years, they got quite a lot of experience. Maybe they were full-time military and transferred into the TA once they'd left full-time. And other ones like me, they're deploying with less than 30 days worth of experience in the Army in total. So there's a huge gulf in experience, even though the ranks are the same. You get privates in like late 30s. There's one guy called Metal Mickey. And the reason they called him Metal Mickey is because he had a piercing. And I won't tell you where he had the piercing, and I didn't see it. So I didn't look. Like, someone told me, and I believed them, because he was covered in tattoos. He looked like an escaped convict. He was private, same as me. I was 18, then 19, and he was 36, then 37. So that he was twice my age.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
His tattoos are older than me. So there's a huge gulf in experience, despite the ranks being equal.
Right. Wow. That's pretty interesting. I mean, 30, would you say 36, 37? That's pretty old for a private, typically speaking. Yeah.
It is pretty old. But I think at the time, I don't know if the Army Reserve is as culturally relevant as the previous incarnation of the Reserve, or the Territorial Army was. The Territorial Army was you kind of a cultural sort of thing. If you were in the TA, then you were in the TA, and you talked about it and you stayed in. And people tended to stay in for quite a long time because there was no threat of call out or things. So people joined during the Cold War just in case Russia did something. And they just happened to stay in, and no one ever got called out.
Interesting.
But that changed as the full-time Army numbers depleted, because everything's getting so much more expensive that when reservists being deployed, because it's cheaper to keep a reservist on the books than it is a full-time soldier.
Yeah. Oh, what I found very interesting when you were talking about the pay. So when you deployed, the whole time you were deployed, you were getting paid whatever your salary was, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. So when you're in the UK, you're doing weekend work, aren't you? So you're doing. I worked in finance, so I was getting that money, and then on the weekend I was getting the standard rate for what a private gets paid for training. So I did 2 days worth of training over the weekend. I get 2 days worth of private money. However, once you get deployed, so that you don't lose out, the Army makes up the wages you would have been making. So whilst I was out in Iraq, I wasn't being paid with privates money. I was being paid my finance money. So it was considerably higher. So I didn't have to lose out financially, which is good. But it makes for an interesting system, because last time our section commander, our squad commander, which is a corporal, he was an attorney. We say solicitor. He was a solicitor. So he was taking home more than the captain and the major, even though he was only a corporal. And then I was on my money, which was like probably the same amount as a sergeant would be making at the time. It was stupid money for someone my age. I shouldn't have been getting paid that much. But that's what banking was like at the time. That's what caused that 2008 crash. It was all the bonuses and all that sort of thing. It was just money. Very mercenary. But it worked out okay for me. Wow.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing to be able to do. I wish that all military would do that. U.S. military as well. That'd be pretty awesome. But I think they'd probably go in debt pretty quickly.
The American military is much, much bigger than the Marine Corps is bigger than the entire UK military at the moment. So that's how big that's how small the British Army is, or that's how big the US military is. If you think about it, the entire Marine Corps is bigger than the entire Navy, Air Force, and Army of the UK.
That's wild to think that, though. Holy cow!
Well, it's people Britain is big, but big with a small b, because I think most American states, especially places like Oklahoma or Texas, they're bigger than the United Kingdom. I don't know if the population is equal or not, but they're so much bigger geographically bigger than the UK. So
very true.
It has the idea of being big or looking big, doesn't it? And being important, one of the big players in the world. But it's actually, UK is pretty small country. I live in Japan. Japan's bigger than twice the size of the UK. So it's
Yeah, that's true. Now, and that to me was very interesting too. So you moved to Japan because you married a Japanese woman, and you guys are living in Japan.
Yeah.
So what is that experience like for you? Like, especially coming from Britain, you get over there. Like, how was it for you?
Well, the reason we moved is because we met in England. My wife was studying in the UK, in the university in the UK, and she couldn't find a career that she wanted to do in the UK. So the opportunity came for me to leave because I was a police officer at the time. I'd done 11 years, and then this uniform service was the military as well. So I'd added up a decent number of years. So we had the opportunity to leave and go, and so she could try and start and find a career, and I went go with her. And I got a job here in Japan. So again, like we spoke before the start, I work at university. I teach at university now. So that's pretty good for me. But how was the process? Well, the process was pretty bad. I mean, biggest problem for me is in that practice, I don't like meat and I don't like fish, and there's a lot of that in Japan.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
Yeah, I'm vegetarian since I was 8 years. I was vegetarian in the army. I was vegetarian in Iraq, and I'm vegetarian in Japan.
Wow.
Since I was 8 years old. So that's the biggest problem.
That is probably a little difficult there in Japan shopping then.
Well, you get used to it. So because I can read and speak the language, I can have to look at the back of the ingredients on a pack and say, "Okay, is this differently?" There's always hidden bits of fish or bacon inside things, which I think most people like. And whenever I see tourists in Japan, they say, "Oh, the food's amazing." I say, "Oh, is it? I don't know. I've never eaten it."
That's funny. Oh man! So what are some of the things that you like about Japan being there? And you've been there for how long now?
This is my 9th year. Yeah. So
9th year. Yeah. Wow.
So I've been here a long time. What do I like about Japan? Well, it's generally a lot. I mean, I come from England. It's generally a lot more peaceful. You don't have the kind of. I mean, I was a policeman, so I sort of saw the bad side of the UK quite regularly. You don't have. I mean, every country's got its problems, but Japan seems to have less of them. Which is nice. It's more socially cohesive. There's no sort of a political animosity between people. There's no sort of neighborly animosity as well. Everyone tries to make things work and make things get on. But on the other hand, it's it's not where I was born. It's not where I grew up. So there's always that. There's always a lingering bit of homesickness for where I came from, for example. But on the balance of things, it's a nice place to live. The weather's good in the summer. It gets nice and hot. In the winter, it's snowy because I live in the mountains. So if winter sports is your thing, that's the good thing. But it's always difficult because when I get tired, my Japanese gets worse. So it's hard to integrate, sometimes. And there'll always be problems. But, where could you live and not have problems? Or where could you live and say things are that bad at conversely? And things weren't that bad in England. Things aren't that bad in Japan. Things weren't that good in things aren't that good. It's same chicken, different gravy, isn't it? Where you lay your hat is your home.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now, learning the language, when did you learn the language before you went over there?
So, I learned it when I was in the police because I was in a department of the British police that dealt with nuclear fuel, civil nuclear fuel, not bombs, but, plutonium, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. We call it SNM, so special nuclear material. And that often needs transporting around the world or around the UK. So the British police have a special team, basically a SWAT team, a few SWAT teams actually, as you would call them. We call them SFO, Specialist Firearms Officers. You guys call them SWAT. They escort the material in transit, and they're trained above and beyond what a normal firearms officer is. And then because this is nuclear stuff, you're trained with special consideration for the nuclear industry. For example, finding cover on a nuclear power plant, you kind of figure out where not to take cover, because if something hits one of those tanks, it's sulfuric acid is going to spray everywhere else.
Good point.
So you have to get some special training of it. And so once I finished my training, I became a SFO, Specialist Firearms Officer, for the Strategic Escort Group, and we moved fuel around the UK, and we moved it around the world as well. So moved it to America, moved it to Germany, moved it to France, moved it to Japan. Now, because we were doing so much business with the Japanese, because I've always had enough space for one extra language. In the army, I could speak Arabic. At school, I could speak French, and I could speak Arabic, and then I kind of forgot that and went back to learning French just so I could go on holiday. I thought, okay, I'll learn Japanese. Bought myself a Learn Japanese CD, and whoever I happened to be on patrol with was learning it vicariously at the same time as me, because I just stick the CD in the car and practice my Japanese as we were driving our patrol or doing our escort or that sort of thing. So I just learned it from when I was 27 years old. So I was 27. So I'm 42 today. So
that's right.
14, 15 years I've been studying Japanese, but I learned it just as a tool so I could operate better with the Japanese law enforcement that we work with, and then just kept it up, and now I speak it reasonably fluently. I wouldn't say I'm definitely fluent. I couldn't talk the finer political points of Prime Minister Takaichi's cabinet at them. I couldn't talk that, but I can certainly manage most everything else.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh man! Now, when you were in the what did you call it? The Special Force Police Force. What was it called again?
SF Specialist Firearms Officers, SFOs. You can just say SWAT if it's easier.
Oh yeah, SWAT for guys like me. But when you were doing that, like, what was some of the highlights, some of the things that happened to you while you were doing that would be interesting?
My favorite memory of being an SFO was because this constabulary is the most heavily armed constabulary in the UK and possibly even in the world. So my favorite memory is not an operational memory; it's a training memory. It's when I did the basic minigun course. So our unit has miniguns. Okay, the 134 Dillon miniguns, the same ones that get made in, I think it's Arizona. Is that Dillon Aerospace is in Arizona? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
It fires 50 rounds per second. So we had to learn to use those. We went to a place in deepest, darkest Wales, which is well out in the countryside, to use a special firing range that's normally used by the special forces of the UK, so they can test their really high caliber things. And because we've got so much fire, so much volume going on, we were using those too. And so we had to learn how to disassemble the gun, how to clear errors and all that sort of thing before even firing it. But finally, the time came when you had to fire. And the qualification shoot is 3,000 rounds. So you get to fire 3,000 rounds every 3 months just to stay current and qualified.
That's not a bad deal.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, this is going to be great. So they said, put in your earplugs and put on your ear defenders. Put them both on because it's very, very loud and then that sort of thing. And I'd forgotten my earplugs, or I lost them.
Oh no!
On the things, I'll be fine like this. I grabbed hold of it because it's got spade grips, not a trigger. I thought, okay, so I'm looking through this EOTech site, this holographic site, picking it up. Got this instructor standing beside me, and he's shouting really loud because he thinks I got double plugs in, which I haven't.
Right.
And he says, okay, let her rip, open fire, press it. So the barrel spins only a revolution. It fires almost instantly. The torque of the gun needs to be dragged back onto target. It was like the 6 second burst, because that's what you're supposed to fire, 6 seconds. And I finished figuring, and my ears was like, and the guy was talking at me. It was like that scene in The Simpsons where Homer Simpson's deaf because he's gone to too many rock concerts. And Marge is talking to him. All you can hear is, it sounded like the adults from Peanuts. So this guy was just talking. I don't have a clue what he was saying. I just nodded, yeah. And then he pointed to the target. Oh, I've got to shoot again then. So at least I knew what. So yeah. But I learned after that, always double up.
Yeah. It happens to everybody at some point, I think.
And the funny thing is, they give you a big spanner as well. So once you finish shooting, you got to crank the barrel over to eject any spent cases that are still inside the mechanism. And my hand slipped and I landed on the barrel, and those barrels are actually glowing red. Like, whoa! But luckily, it was a snowy day, so I just put my hand into a big pile of snow.
Oh, nice!
So I didn't end up with much of a burn, but it was the barrel was glowing for a couple of seconds. So it
wouldn't take long with a barrel that hot.
You only make that mistake once. Everyone makes that mistake once, but you only make it once. So when you hold on to the spanner, you don't have a little princess grip like I had. Actually, hold on to the thing properly and push it over. Don't pinch. So
man, that's awesome.
First of all, put in the earplugs, and the second one, hold on, yeah.
But memorable, and now you're never going to forget that.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I'll ever get to fire one again. I'd love to, but it was a great experience. And then we deployed operationally. You take these miniguns on the ships, because that's what they're there for. When we do international movements by ship, they're there to attack incoming fast-moving watercraft. And so, because the weapons are out there and the ammunition has been exposed to salt water. Every couple of days you go out there and fire off a few layers of ammunition and reconfigure the belt. So you got to fire quite a lot when you're out on escorts as well. So we brought killer tomatoes with us, which are these big huge red beach balls, basically. I'm saying a huge red beach ball. They're probably about the size of an SUV. So,
oh my God.
You throw them over the side. They've got reflective patches on them, so they can be picked up on the ship's radar. And then you practice your shooting in these. And because they're huge inflatables, basically the bullet goes through and through. So it stays inflated for quite some time. Eventually, it just gets torn to shreds. But you can get a decent amount of use out of a killer. I don't know what their real names were. We just called them killer tomatoes because they look like killer tomatoes. You've seen Attack on the Killer Tomatoes. It look like a killer tomato. So that's where
that's awesome.
We used to fire those. And we also had on board the ships 50 cows.
Nice.
General purpose machine guns, which is basically an M60 gas operated, and 30mm DS-30B auto cannons as well. So we were very, very heavy. It's more of a frigate than it was a transport ship. But the idea was to sail so deeply into the ocean that you were outside of the conventional shipping lanes. So we were the security crew, the police were the security crew on board, and there was a specialist mariners who were the ship's company.
I see.
So we go all the way out into the sea. The worst part of the sea is when you always had to go into South Africa if you were doing a movement. We never used to go underneath Argentina. You always used to go into South Africa. And what you've got is you've got the South Atlantic water and you've got the Antarctic water pushing like this. And it takes about a week to get there. You don't sleep for a week because you just can't, because the water's just pushing you around all over the place. And so one time you're trying to sleep and all of a sudden you're standing up in your cabin. Like, how did that happen? And then you realize the shit's basically doing 45 degrees water. So you're literally thrown out of bed. You try and have a shower.
Wow.
So you're holding on to like the shower pole as it's going like this. So it was a good experience. Yeah.
Oh man! Now, how many missions like that did you get to do?
Well, they normally did one or two per year. It's hard to say how many happened because it responds to the needs of the people who need the fuel. The fuel is licensed by the UK, made by the UK at a place called Sellafield, and then it's moved around the world. So it's totally responding to the needs of who needs them and when and what they need. For example, we did one. And this was a different escort, not on ships. You had to do it in road, in bulletproof armored police cars. And that was at the very, very top of Scotland. And that was with the US Air Force. They flew out a Herc, the C-130 from Ramsey. And they wanted to pick up a really, really, really dangerous isotope that we had. So they could fly it back to America for research purposes. They wanted to take it to Los Alamos National Lab for research. And the only way to do it, because we had custody of it. We were looking after it, but it belonged to the Americans. So we had to move it from the reactor site, which is it wasn't in a reactor, but the reactor site's the safest place to keep it. We had to move it from there to the airbase, and then the Americans, and we had to try and time that perfectly. So the Hercules was on the floor for only like 2 minutes. So what we did, we were basically waiting on the apron for them to come in, and as soon as they turned down, they put the props on to full reverse to make a short landing. They had like a truck come out the side, off the cargo ramp, like a specialist truck. I'd never seen one before. It's like a small forklift. It's probably designed specifically for carrying nuclear material. Picked up our fuel, stuck it back on, and they powered up and went straight away. So there was always a lot of coordination to try and get those things from happening. And sometimes operations were planned a year in advance, and like this one, maybe it was only planned 4 weeks in advance. Because they wanted it urgently for some reason. So yeah, how many operations? It's totally dependent on the client, as we would say.
Yeah.
Who wants the stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, tell us a little bit, like, what if you were wanting to kind of tell people in a nutshell, like, tell us some of the highlights from this that you remember that you want to talk about, or you want people to know.
Okay, well, Basra and Back. Right. The first thing is the thing I like about the book, only other than the fact that it's my book, so it's my baby. But
there's that. Yeah.
If you read, and it's a popular genre and subgenre of reading in the UK and America, I hope, as well. And this is why the book is available in America. This is one of the reasons we're talking now. Is they're always based around accounts of special forces or commanders, and very, very hard to find a very accurate and truthful account of what the grunts went through. I mean, of course, there's the Second World War books where there's a lot of people fought in the Second World War. And as you progress, interest seems, or in my impression is, the interest seems to either be trauma porn, so people who ended up damaged somehow by the conflict and how they overcame, which is very, very good, but it's not really what I'm interested in, because I'm kind of I like, my nickname's Princess, so I get upset easily. Read their book, like, oh, the poor guy. So they were that kind of book. I wanted to do an account of what it is to be a very unlikely infantryman, because I was definitely not cut out for the infantry. Or I did pretty well in the end. An unlikely infantryman in the Iraq War, showing that even the most unlikely people can apply themselves properly. They can do anything they want. So if your heart's in it, you're interested in it, and everything else will come with it. So that's what that book's about. Really, is about, first of all, being from the worms level, the people at the bottom. So we're not talking about the special forces doing the special operations. We're talking about what it was really like, what it was vicariously like in that theatre, whether you're American, Australian, British, Italian, because they're all there. And the second thing of that book is, even an unlikely soldier can become a very, very efficient and good one. Because like I said, when I was there, I got a commendation for my actions in during one particular battle that we had. And that's one of the highlights of the book, I think, that battle. There's several battles in the book, but that's one of the highlights, where I was a bit like Forrest Gump in that one, running people out of my shoulders to the hospital.
That's right. And, Now you did tell that story when we did your whole story. You did talk about that one. Yeah. So and what a great story, by the way. But one thing that you hit on that I try to hit on all the time is the stories are out there for all those special forces guys, the guys that everybody wants to know about, and then I call it the average Joe Blow like me. Those are the people that don't really get their story told very often, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing now. So I think we're kindred spirits in that same type of thing.
Well, it's the most important job in the army, isn't it? The PBI, the poor bloody infantry. If you didn't, there's two jobs in the army, isn't there? There's infantry and there's infantry support. That's it. Because the war is won ultimately by the grunts, and everything else is built around what the infantry's capability is. Even the special forces, the artillery, the jets, the shore bombardments on the ships, logistics. It is all built to ensure that the infantry can do their job, and so it's the most important job in the military, without a shadow of doubt. Not the most exciting at times, because I remember being on guard duty, like, oh my god, I'm going to fall asleep in a minute, and you have to give yourself a slap to stay awake.
Those are always fun times.
Oh yeah, I used to hate guard duty. Sometimes it was okay, but other times, like, I'm not in the mood for this, and you're absolutely hanging out of your ass. You think, I need to sleep. But the other times there was you do some really, really exciting stuff, because there are set piece battles. Actually, we do have those one in there. Set piece intervention as opposed to a battle, but ambushes, the ones who get ambushed, the ones who do the most of the combat work is the infantry. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you did something. I don't want to say it's unusual, but something extra duty while you were there, being a medic, and the training that you got to do that wasn't like a very extensive training. It was some training, just not as extensive as like the active duty folks.
That's right. Yeah. So the British Army at the time, if you wanted to be a combat medic, you joined the Royal Army Medical Corps, and they trained you to be a combat medic. And you could do that as a reservist or as a full-time. And then you would be attached to a platoon, and you'd be a platoon asset or even a company asset. But you would remain part of the Army Medical Corps. During Operation Telek, or Enduring Freedom, as you guys call it, they decided they needed enhanced medical capability. So what they did is they took someone out of every platoon in the infantry and gave them a short course or an OPTAG course, which is an Operational Training Advisory Group course, a short one, to do the medics course. Now, I did that, and the selection process was the lieutenant said, who wants to do the medic course? And I like that, and said, okay, you can do it. That was the selection. There was no paperwork. But it was a trade-off, because this was during our Iraq build-up, and I did this training, which means I missed out on the specialist weapon training. So the rest of the guys were getting to grips with the belt-fed mini. There was nothing to it. I mean, I learned how to use it in the end, but things like the underslung grenade launchers and thermal optics and those sorts of, they had extra training on that. Whilst they were doing that, I was doing the the medical training, which is the breathing, bleeding, breaks, and burns. In that
Yeah.
order, keep them breathing, stop them from bleeding. If anything's broken, fix it, and if it's burnt, try to soothe it. So we had that course, and then a final exercise in the middle of nowhere. The Marines happened to be there at the same time, which was good because we could kind of link up, because they were doing an exercise at the same time. So we had a helicopters overhead and some baby Marine recruits playing as an enemy force and that sort of thing. Even though it was not a tactical exercise, it really put the pressure on. So that's the extra thing that I did, which was good. And, once you know how to do medical stuff, it's useful for the rest of your life. That's learning to use a belt-fed machine gun. Well, that's great, but you can't use it when you finish the army. Can you?
That's true. You don't get to use that all that often.
No.
But medical, like no matter where you go, you're going to use it.
Yeah, I've used it in here in Japan. I've found a demented old man when I was out, because I like walking, just having a nice walk in the summer, and he was obviously severely dehydrated and passed out. So I found him, and someone crashed their bike into the front of my house and got all cut up. So I used it on them as well. And so, yeah, I've used it in the UK. So once you know how to do medical, in fact, I would suggest to anyone, because medical training is free if you go to places like the Red Cross or St. John's to some extent. Learn how to do it. It's not difficult. It's just and it's very, very useful. So I mean, I'm an idiot and I managed to do it. So smarter people than me can quite easily. I recommend anyone do it.
Yeah, I think it's important. In fact, we were just talking to my daughter about, she's 13, doing the CPR and first aid, those types of things. Because, she's at the age that here shortly, she could do babysitting and stuff like that. Yeah. That's one of the things that they need to know about, is to be able to do those things. So we were actually just talking about that.
Oh, that was a coincidence then, isn't it? So I would suggest anyone 13 years old, 30 years old, 70 years old, just learn it. You never know, you might save a life, or you might help someone who's hurt. It's
absolutely,
or if you recognize the symptoms in yourself, you can talk someone through how to help you as well. So it's a very useful skill, a life skill, not just a military skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Man, you've definitely had an interesting career. One being the reservist, infantryman, deployed, also doing all of the special stuff with the police force, traveling all over the world doing that, and then going to Japan and just living your life there. I mean, that's a very unique story. It's pretty awesome.
Well, like I said in the previous one, you'll miss every shot you don't take.
That's right. Yeah.
So if the opportunity presents itself, you don't need to think twice about it. Just take the chance. And what's the worst that can happen? Someone will say no, or maybe it won't work out the way you thought. You can go back to what it was. If there's an opportunity, then take it. That's why I've had these opportunities in life. It's not because I've done anything unique. I'm not a highly educated. I got a twin brother. He's the clever one. Okay, I'm the talkative one. So. He is by and far a lot more academically capable than me. But he's had his opportunities. But I'm quite happy just to find the opportunity. I'll do that. I'll volunteer for anything. And that's how I've ended up in this shooting team in Iraq. That's how I ended up in Japan. I'm in a shooting team.
Tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind, because that was very interesting.
Okay. Well, I was. I've been in the team for 8 years. I've been in Japan for 9 years. I've been in this team for 8 years now, and. When I arrived in Japan, I was living at home and practicing my reading. Best way to do that, practice reading a foreign language, is to use the daily newspaper. Yeah, also I was reading that, and I saw an advert at the bottom, and it said, the Matsumoto Castle Gun Corps are looking for new members. And I thought, cool, man, I'll do that. So I do the application thing, and I've obviously got a Japanese surname, so Okuhara is the surname. So they saw the application came from Okuhara-san or Okuhara, Mr. Okuhara, and that sort of thing. And I went to the interview, and it's in this small office, and there's 3 people at the interview. There's the gunnery captain, the captain of the team, there's the deputy captain, and then basically there's the chief instructor of the team. They were the panel for the application. They had applicants all day, and I had to go to the castle to it. And I walked in, and there's these 3 guys looking at me like this. As I was walking, because they're expecting a Japanese guy because it's a Japanese name, and in comes this British guy, doesn't it? It's a white guy. And I'm like, what are you doing? Are you in the right place? You lost? You're a tourist or something? So I introduced myself, and they said, a few basic questions and that sort of thing. And the chief instructor will listen and says, do you know anything about guns? And inside my mind, I was like, come on, do I know about guns? What I know about guns? I know it's So he asked me to, well, can you explain the difference between a matchlock and a flintlock? Can you explain what a percussion cap is? Can you tell me how a muzzle? What's smooth? That's asking me. It's like testing my knowledge, which of course was the challenge for me, was turning it from English into Japanese.
Oh yeah,
but I had to give it. And afterwards, they passed the interview along with 2 other guys. So there was 3 successful applicants. One was from the Japanese Special Forces, actually, the Rangers. He's retired from the Rangers now, but at the time he was a captain in the Rangers. And the other guy was actually a J8I as well, Japanese Self-Defense Force. And then there was me, so 3 successful applicants. And they said to me, well, the captain says, we haven't had a foreign member before. And even though you've got a Japanese name, you are not Japanese. And to be honest, we don't know whether you'd be able to get a firearms license in Japan. So we don't know how useful you would be. But what we'll do is we'll make you an interpreter. We'll make you a translator. So when we do something, you can come with us and translate everything the commentator says into English. And I said, well, that's a way in, isn't it? So I agreed to do that. And I just worked my way up. I got my firearms license, worked my way up. And now whenever I do something, I do a little bit of commentary. And I've got this full set of samurai armor, and then I do some of the shooting as well. So that's the small version of that. And if anyone's interested in samurai shooting, you can go to our website, which is one word. It's gunsamurai.com. And that's got loads of photos and movies and data. And I've even got a YouTube channel which has a lot of it on. So Gun Samurai is where, if people are interested in that thing.
All right.
So I've basically translating it all from Japanese into English.
And you said, well, hold on, samurai. Spell it SAM.
URAI.
.com.
.com.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. See if I get that. Gunsamurai.com. Is that it?
Yeah. That's it. So if people are interested, then that's they can find out more about it. Because shooting in Japan is a martial art. I know in America there's a lot of recreational shooting, isn't it? And that's what when I come to America, and I will be coming to America. You just need a bit of money. I've got a friend. He's got a ranch out in Colorado, in a place near Falcon, Colorado, which is not too far from Colorado Springs. He's a veteran himself, and I want to go out there and do some. Well, I want to do some ranching because I do like riding horses, and I've never done the American style. I always do Posh, doesn't it, when the English people do it? And then I want to do a bit of shooting because I've been firing these muzzle loading muskets for the past few years. I want to get some gas operated shooting back again. But shooting in America, recreational shooting scene is pretty big. The recreational shooting scene in Japan is very small. You basically got for recreational shooting, you've got people doing clay pigeon skeet, and then you've got us. And what our shooting is, it's not sports shooting at all. It's martial arts shooting. It's called hojutsu. So it's the way of the gun, and it's based on Japanese archery. So in 1543, when guns first arrived in a place called Tanegashima in Japan, an island right on the south, it's a Chinese ship that had a couple of Portuguese adventurers on board. Their sails got ripped in a storm, and so they had to use the ship's boats to pull them to shore so they could start repairing the sails. And so the Chinese crew did that, and these 2 Portuguese adventurers, they went ashore to go and kill some waterfowl so they could start restocking the supplies on the boat with fresh meat as opposed to salted meat. And so they were shooting, boom, and these obviously muskets are very, very loud. And all that shooting sounded like thunder to the samurai that were on the island, and they're looking up at the sky like, why can you hear thunder on a sunny day like this? Something's wrong. So the samurai go down to the beach to find out what's going on. And every time they hear thunder, they see a bird drop out of the sky. So like, we want this power. Can you sell us a gun? And he's like, we can sell you a gun. So it's well above market value. The Japanese reverse engineered the gun and figured out how to make their own Japanese matchlocks, which are known colloquially as Tanegashima, but actually we call them Hinawaju. And basically 1543 was the introduction of firearms into Japan. Now, the Japanese were already proficient with ranged warfare because they were using the bows and arrows, or yumi. So they adopted that martial art into hojutsu, which was another ranged martial art. So they look visually very, very similar, although the end product is a shot being fired as opposed to an arrow being loosed. So that's that in a nutshell. But gunsamurai.com, that's got all the information if anyone's interested.
That is really interesting. I never knew that. That's pretty cool. It's considered a martial arts.
English. That was when I was being told this, I was like, oh, slow down. Okay. I've got to figure this out. Wait. That was 8 years ago now, so it's, I've got the story down to a pattern.
Yeah, I mean, you did fantastic telling the story today. So you learned something, It's good.
It's fun, yeah. It's fun. That's an opportunity I took. The opportunity was right there in the newspaper. You miss every shot you don't take. Took that shot, got it. Joined the nuclear industries SWAT team. Took that shot, got it. So just like I say, I recommend to anyone take every shot you can.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know when you're going to do it. Hit gold, man.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shoot. Well, is there anything else that maybe I missed as we were talking that you want to go over?
Well, I did send you a copy of the book. In fact, I sent you a second copy of the book, and I think that might be a good lead in, so you can try and send that out to a lucky viewer.
So if you're out there, leave me a comment, and then we're going to pick somebody to send this book to. It's awesome. Can you see that? Yeah. All right. Anyways, Basra and Back, Matt's book here, incredible. You guys make a comment. We'll pick somebody. If it doesn't happen live here, if you don't make a comment live here, that's okay. We can see it later as well. Let's see. I'll put show comments to see if it comes up. Nope, nothing. I don't got nothing yet. But so if you're out there, what have you, it's a great book. And where can they all pick it up?
Well, Amazon has it, of course, but it's also available at Barnes and Noble in the States and Target. And then on the other side, world where I come from, there's a Barnes and Noble equivalent. It's called Waterstones. That's where it's available in the UK. Amazon at the moment in America, it's on discount in Amazon, so it's a good time to pick it up.
Yeah, nothing wrong with discount, maybe on your side, it might be a little different. But
for the publisher, I get the same royalties no matter what.
Oh, okay. Whatever then.
So yeah, for me, I'm all set. But it's not about the royalties. I wrote the book because it's interesting. I want people to read the book. I want people to, think, well, maybe I could do that. Of course, you could do that if I was able to do it. And I am not an impressive guy, but other people can do it. Like I said last time we spoke, one of the best things I've ever done is joining the military, because you always get. If you join the military, no matter what you do, whether you're a musician, infantryman, cook, engineer, you will always get out more than you put in. So that's something I would suggest anyone does, whether it's part-time, full-time, only for a few years. It's worth the risk. It definitely is. You get so much out of it. Friendships as well as skills.
And those last forever. They say it lasts a lifetime, really. And being able to have these types of conversations, like we've never met each other, and being able to sit down and just, talk back and forth. Shoot, we were in the same place at the same time, didn't even know it.
I know, so it's
very interesting.
It is. You make friends that you never even knew you had if you in the military, because you got that shared brotherhood.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, hey, man, thanks for coming on and doing this. I've had a good time listening and talking to you about it. Anything else that you want to share?
No, the only thing I'm going to say is my 42nd birthday. So after this, I'm heading back out, and I'm going to start my day, because it's 24th of July in Japan. It's the 23rd of July in America.
It's coming up on 10 o'clock in the morning for you out there. Is that right?
Just about 10 o'clock. So I'll start my day. I've got the day out today. So I'm going to have a nice chilled out day, and then I'm going to buy my favorite whiskey, which is an American whiskey. Actually, they say Japanese whiskey is good. It is, but I do prefer tin cup. That's my favorite. So I'm going to treat myself to some of that, and
nice.
And stay in New Year with my best buddy, who is Cedric the dog. It's his
birthday as well. Yeah, and he's turning 3, right?
Turning 3.
What you talking about?
A big dinosaur bone to give him for his birthday. I bet he doesn't even know he's getting it. He'll be so happy to see it. A big smile.
Is it so big he can't carry it?
Oh, well, that's the thing with him. He's an Australian Shepherd, so that does not compute. If it's so big, he'll find a way to carry it.
That's a good point.
Logs home before he just grabs hold of something, starts dragging the thing. Even if it interrupts traffic, he
doesn't care. I love it. That's awesome. Well, man, thanks for coming on and doing this. You're more than welcome to come on anytime. Just let me know. I always have a good time chatting with you. So you're more than welcome.
Okay, well, thanks very much for having me, and I'll stay in touch, and I'll also drop in on your next because I was on your last Fireside Chat. You were talking about motorbikes, I remember, and I thought, I'm not crash two of those things.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll drop back in whenever I happen to be online at the same time as you, because I'm normally online this time of day. So yeah, it's nice to meet you, and maybe one day we'll meet physically in person. But like I said to viewers, you make friends you never knew you had if you join the military. You get so much more out of it than you put in.
Absolutely. Well, if you make it over here to America, let me know. Maybe you'll want to come down to Oklahoma and check things out here.
Okay.
And just let me know, man. I'm here.
I will. I'll stay in touch.
All right. Awesome. All right. To everybody out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. Remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. Matt cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need a helping hand, please give it to them. All right, Matt. One last time, man. Thanks. Everybody out there, Basra and Back, make sure you go pick it up. I'll move it there. There you go. Go get you a copy. And Barnes & Noble and also Amazon. They're on sale on Amazon right now. So go make sure you go pick them up. All right, man. One last time. Thanks. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you very much.
All right. Stay motivated. Change your socks.
Purchase your gear, look good, and support the Lost Art Project Veterans Voice. Every day, we lose another veteran, and with them, a story that can never be told again. At the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices, we're making sure those stories live on. Join our Founders Circle today, because preserving history isn't someone else's responsibility. It's ours.